Life doesn't reward the fastest mover, it rewards the clearest thinker. Most people don't lose because they aren't talented. They don't fall behind because they lack effort. They lose because they react instead of plan. They rush instead of observe. They move without direction. And in a world that never stops demanding your attention, that pressure to act now is exactly what keeps you stuck. Pause. Right now, take a breath. Because this audiobook is not about working harder, it's about thinking better. Welcome to The Art of Strategic Thinking. This is not motivation for the moment. This is a mindset for a lifetime. This audiobook is about learning how to win before you act, how to see the board while others only see the next move, how to slow your mind in a fast world and gain power because of it. Let me ask you something. When life challenges you, when pressure shows up, when uncertainty hits, do you react or do you respond? That single difference separates chaos from control. Strategic thinkers don't panic, they don't rush, they don't get pulled into emotional decisions. They pause, they zoom out, they ask better questions, and because of that, they win. Most people live tactically. They focus on today's problem, today's stress, today's emotion. Strategic thinkers live long-term. They see consequences before they arrive. They plan for outcomes others haven't imagined yet. This audiobook will train you to do the same, not in theory, in real life. You'll learn how to think several steps ahead, anticipate challenges before they appear, control emotion under pressure, make decisions that compound instead of collapse, build leverage instead of burnout, play the long game, and win it. Because intelligence isn't about knowing more facts. Intelligence is knowing when to act and when not to. Why most people never think strategically. The modern world rewards urgency. Notifications, deadlines, messages, noise. You're trained to respond instantly, but instant reactions rarely lead to intelligent outcomes. Most people are mentally exhausted not because they do too much, but because they think too shallow. They solve the same problems again and again. They repeat emotional cycles. They stay busy but never advance. Strategic thinking breaks that loop. It teaches you to step back instead of spin faster, to ask, what is the real problem here? What happens if I do nothing? What happens if I wait? What move creates leverage instead of effort? This isn't hesitation. This is mastery. Strategic thinkers aren't slow. They're precise. They understand something most people never do. Speed without direction is just running in circles. Checkers versus chess. Most people play life like checkers, one move at a time, reacting to whatever's in front of them, focused only on the next square. Strategic thinkers play chess. They don't just see the move. They see the sequence. They understand that every decision creates momentum or friction. They know what they sacrifice now determines what they control. Later, short-term comfort often kills long-term power. Patience is not weakness. It's positioning. Chess players don't rush their queen. They develop their board. That's strategy. And strategy begins with how you think, not what you do. The power of thinking ahead. Most problems don't appear suddenly. They build quietly. Ignored signals. Unaddressed patterns. Small decisions stacking up. Strategic thinkers notice early. They ask, where does this path lead? What happens if I keep choosing this? What future am I building without realizing it? That awareness alone changes everything, because once you see the trajectory, you regain control. You stop reacting to outcomes and start shaping them. This audiobook is a mental shift. This is not about manipulation, not about tricks, not about shortcuts. This is about clarity. Clarity creates calm. Calm creates power. Power creates options, and options create freedom. By the end of this audiobook, you won't just think differently. You'll move differently. Your decisions will feel cleaner. Your emotions will feel quieter. Your direction will feel intentional. You won't need to rush. Because when you think strategically, you arrive early. A moment of commitment. Before we continue, make a decision. Not about goals, not about success, about how you think. Decide right now that you will stop reacting automatically. Decide that you will pause before you speak. Decide that you will question before you commit. That decision alone changes your future. And if this opening already hit something deep, if a sentence made you stop and reflect, remember it. Because awareness is the first strategic move. Chapter 2. The pause that creates power. Power does not come from reacting faster. It comes from pausing longer. This is where strategic thinking truly begins. Not with intelligence, not with talent, not with ambition, but with the ability to stop. Most people never pause. They move from impulse to impulse, from emotion to emotion, from urgency to urgency. And because of that, they hand control of their life to whatever screams the loudest. Strategic thinkers do the opposite. They pause first. That pause, even if it lasts only seconds, changes everything. Because in that space between stimulus and response, you regain command. Why reaction is the enemy of strategy. Reactions are emotional. Strategy is intentional. Reactions are fast but blind. Strategy is calm and aware. When you react, you speak before thinking. You decide before seeing consequences. You move before understanding the board. And once a reaction is released, you can't take it back. Words land. Decisions ripple. Momentum builds. Strategic thinkers understand something critical. You don't need to win the moment. You need to win the outcome. Sometimes the strongest move is silence. Sometimes the smartest response is delay. Sometimes doing nothing is doing everything. The mental discipline of waiting. Waiting is uncomfortable. Your mind wants closure. Your ego wants control. Your emotions want release. But strategy lives in restraint. The ability to wait when others rush is a competitive advantage. Because when you wait, you gather information, you observe patterns, you let others reveal their intentions. Most people expose themselves under pressure. Strategic thinkers let that happen, quietly. They don't interrupt momentum. They don't rush confrontation. They don't force outcomes. They let the situation speak. And situations always tell the truth, if you're patient enough to listen. Calm is not passive. It is positioning. Calm people intimidate chaos. When you stay calm while others panic, you immediately gain leverage. Because panic clouds judgment. Emotion narrows vision. Urgency distorts reality. Calm does the opposite. Calm widens perspective. Calm sharpens logic. Calm keeps options open. This is why leaders are trained to stay composed under pressure. Not because they feel less, but because they control more. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. The strategic thinker's inner rule. Here is a rule you must internalize. Never decide at the peak of emotion. Anger makes you aggressive. Fear makes you defensive. Excitement makes you careless. Desperation makes you reckless. Strategic thinkers delay decisions until emotion settles. Not forever, just long enough to think clearly. That delay alone saves them from mistakes most people repeat for years. How to train the strategic. Pause. This is not talent. This is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. Start small. When something triggers you, don't speak immediately, don't explain yourself, don't justify, don't react. Instead, pause, count to 5. Breathe once. Ask one question internally. What is the smartest outcome here? That single question shifts your brain from emotion to logic. Over time, that pause becomes automatic. And once it does, you operate on a different level. Strategy is about energy conservation. Every reaction costs energy. Arguments drain you, regret drains you, damage control drains you. Strategic thinkers conserve energy by choosing when to engage. They don't fight every battle. They don't correct every mistake. They don't chase every opportunity. They choose the battles that matter. Because power is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. The difference between smart and strategic. Smart people know a lot. Strategic people apply selectively. Smart people win debates. Strategic people win outcomes. Smart people react quickly. Strategic people respond wisely. Strategy is intelligence plus restraint. A quiet shift. As you listen to this, notice something. You're already slowing down, already reflecting, already observing differently. That's not coincidence. That's strategic thinking activating. Chapter 3. The long game always wins. Most people lose not because they are weak, but because they are impatient. They want results now, recognition now, relief now, and impatience destroys strategy. Strategic thinkers understand a truth that most never accept. The long game always beats short-term effort. Always. Why short-term thinking fails. Short-term thinking feels productive. It feels urgent. It feels busy. But busy is not the same as effective. Short-term thinkers chase quick wins, react to immediate pressure, sacrifice future leverage for present comfort. They trade tomorrow for today, and they don't realize the cost until it's too late. Strategic thinkers do the opposite. They are willing to look slow because they are building something fast beneath the surface. The invisible advantage of thinking ahead. When you think long-term, everything changes. You stop asking, what feels good now? And start asking, what compounds over time? This shift alone separates leaders from followers, because the world rewards consistency, not intensity. One disciplined decision repeated daily outperforms 1,000 emotional bursts. Strategy is not about force. It's about alignment. Why most people can't play the long game requires patience, delayed gratification, emotional control, faith in unseen progress. And that scares people. They want proof before commitment, validation before effort, guarantees before action. Strategic thinkers move without applause. They trust the process because they understand systems. Systems beat goals. Goals are destinations. Systems are engines. Goals motivate briefly. Systems sustain forever. Strategic thinkers don't obsess over goals. They build systems that make success inevitable. They ask, what habits create this outcome automatically? Once the system is built, results arrive on schedule. No panic, no rush, no burnout. Just progress. The power of quiet progression. Loud success attracts noise. Quiet progress attracts mastery. Strategic thinkers grow silently. They don't announce moves. They don't broadcast plans. They don't seek permission. They let results speak. And when results finally appear, they arrive fully formed. This is why success often looks sudden to outsiders. But there is nothing sudden about it. It was built patiently, strategically, in silence. The strategic question you must ask daily. Here is a question that will reshape your thinking. What decision today benefits me most in 5 years? Not tomorrow, not next week. 5 years. Ask that question daily, and your priorities will rearrange themselves. Distractions lose power. Drama becomes irrelevant. Shortcuts lose appeal. You start moving with intention. Strategy is sacrifice with purpose. The long game demands sacrifice. Not random sacrifice, strategic sacrifice. You sacrifice comfort for capability, ease for strength, popularity for position. But every sacrifice is calculated. You don't give up joy, you delay gratification. And delayed gratification is the signature of every high-level thinker. Why strategic thinkers win without rushing when you play the long game. Pressure no longer controls you. Time becomes an ally. Setbacks lose their sting because you know where you're going. And when you know the destination, detours don't scare you. You adjust. You recalibrate. You continue. That's strategy. The quiet confidence of long-term thinkers. Strategic thinkers don't need reassurance. They don't panic at slow weeks. They don't quit during dry seasons. They don't chase trends. They understand momentum, and momentum doesn't shout. It builds. Chapter 4. See the board before you move. Most people play life like checkers. They react to what's in front of them. They move one piece at a time. They focus only on the next step. Strategic thinkers play chess. They see patterns. They anticipate reactions. They think 3, 5, 10 moves ahead. And that is why they win before others even realize a game is being played. Reaction is not intelligence. Reaction feels powerful. It feels fast. It feels decisive. But reaction is rarely smart. Reaction means someone else is controlling the pace. Every time you react emotionally, you surrender strategic ground. Strategic thinkers pause. They observe before acting. They listen before speaking. They read the environment before committing. Because information is leverage. The skill of strategic awareness. Awareness is the foundation of strategy. Not surface awareness, deep awareness. Strategic thinkers notice who speaks the most and who stays silent. What is said and what is avoided. Timing, tone, energy, hesitation. They read between words. Because people reveal everything, if you pay attention. Why most people miss the real game. Most people are distracted by noise. They focus on titles instead of influence, words instead of behavior, promises instead of patterns. Strategic thinkers track patterns. Patterns never lie. Someone's past behavior predicts their future decisions. A system's structure predicts its outcomes. An environment reveals its rules. Once you see the pattern, you stop being surprised. Control the frame. Control the outcome. The frame is how a situation is defined. Whoever controls the frame controls the conversation. Strategic thinkers don't argue inside other people's frames. They redefine the game. They ask better questions. They shift perspective. They slow the pace. And suddenly, power changes hands, because clarity disarms manipulation. The power of silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. When you don't rush to speak, others reveal more. Tension exposes truth. Power dynamics shift. Strategic thinkers use silence intentionally. They let others fill the space, and in doing so, expose their motives. Words can hide. Silence exposes. Seeing people as moves, not emotions. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming objective. Strategic thinkers don't personalize behavior. They analyze it. They ask, what is this person optimizing for? What do they gain from this move? What are they afraid of losing? Emotion clouds judgment. Analysis creates clarity. Anticipation is power. Once you understand motives, you can predict actions. And prediction is dominance. When you know what's coming, you're never rushed. You're never surprised. You're always prepared. Strategic thinkers don't wait for problems. They position themselves before problems appear. That's how strategy works. The question that sharpens awareness. Ask yourself this daily. What is really happening here? Not what's being said. Not what it looks like. What's actually happening? This question cuts through illusion, and the more you ask it, the more clearly the board reveals itself. Why most people lose before they move, they rush. They assume. They act on emotion. Strategic thinkers wait. They let the game come to them. And when they move with precision. Chapter 5. Think in leverage, not effort. Most people believe success comes from doing more. More hours, more energy, more hustle. Strategic thinkers know a different truth. Success comes from leverage. Effort is limited. Leverage multiplies. You can work hard forever and still lose to someone who positioned themselves better. Why hard work alone fails. Hard work without strategy is noise. It burns energy without direction. It creates motion without progress. That's why so many exhausted people feel stuck. They're pushing, but not pulling the right levers. Strategic thinkers ask a different question. Where does one action create 10 results? What leverage really is? Leverage is advantage multiplied by timing. It shows up as the right relationship, the right information, the right skill at the right moment, the right position in a system. Leverage turns small actions into big outcomes. Effort turns big actions into small gains. Positioning is the invisible advantage. Two people can work equally hard. One struggles, one accelerates. Why? Position. Where you stand determines what you can reach. Strategic thinkers choose environments that reward effort. They don't fight systems. They enter systems designed to amplify them. The power of being upstream. Most people operate downstream. They react to consequences. Strategic thinkers go upstream. They influence causes. They ask, what creates this outcome? What decision triggers this chain? What system produces this behavior? Change the cause, and the effect follows automatically. That's leverage. Leverage through skill stacking. No single skill makes you unbeatable, but combinations do. Strategic thinkers stack complementary skills. Thinking, communication, analysis, emotional control, strategy, execution. Each skill reinforces the others, and together they create disproportionate power. Why smart people say no more. Every yes costs leverage. Time is finite. Focus is limited. Strategic thinkers protect their bandwidth. They say no to low-impact tasks, emotional distractions, ego-driven commitments, because dilution kills leverage. The leverage question that changes everything before any decision. Ask, does this scale, or does it drain? If it drains, delegate, eliminate, or delay. If it scales, double down. This single filter prevents years of wasted effort. Emotion as strategy. Emotion pushes you to act now. Strategy asks you to wait. Emotion wants movement. Strategy wants positioning. The more emotional the moment, the more valuable patience becomes. Why the quiet player wins. Strategic thinkers don't announce moves. They prepare silently. They build quietly. They strike decisively. By the time others notice, the outcome is already locked in. Noise is distraction. Silence is strategy. From motion to mastery. Stop measuring progress by exhaustion. Measure it by clarity, control, optionality. The more options you have, the stronger your position. And that's the real definition of power. Chapter 6. Play the long game. Short-term thinkers chase wins. Strategic thinkers build inevitability. They understand something most people don't want to accept. The long game always wins, because almost no one is patient enough to play it. Why most people lose the long game? People want results fast. They want validation now, money now, recognition now. So they trade future power for present comfort. Strategic thinkers do the opposite. They are willing to look behind today to stand far ahead tomorrow. The power of delayed gratification. Every meaningful advantage requires waiting. Skills compound over years. Trust compounds over time. Reputation compounds quietly. Strategy compounds invisibly. Short-term pleasure weakens long-term leverage. Discipline protects the future you. Think in decades, not days. Most decisions feel small in the moment, but compounded, they shape entire lives. Strategic thinkers zoom out. They ask, if I repeat this decision for 5 years, who do I become? If this habit stays, where does it take me? If this mindset hardens, what does it cost me? They don't optimize days, they optimize trajectories. The invisible advantage of consistency. Consistency looks boring. That's why it works. No drama, no spikes, no crashes. Just steady execution while others quit. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can build in 5 years. Strategic thinkers never make that mistake. Long-term thinking creates calm. When you play the long game, you don't panic during setbacks. You don't chase trends. You don't react emotionally. You stay composed because your plan doesn't depend on today. Calm is not weakness. Calm is confidence in direction. Why strategy requires patience. Strategy unfolds slowly until it doesn't. Progress feels invisible right before it becomes unstoppable. Most quit in the invisible phase. Strategic thinkers endure it. They understand. Momentum is silent before it is loud. The compound effect of small edges. Winning isn't about massive advantages. It's about stacking small ones. Slightly better decisions, slightly better habits, slightly better thinking. Over time, small edges separate worlds. This is how quiet players dominate loud competitors. Why you should never rush the foundation. Rushed foundations collapse. Strategic thinkers build slowly on purpose. They know. Speed without stability creates fragility. Strength takes time. Depth takes patience. Mastery takes repetition. Long game thinking. In practice, ask yourself, what am I building or just consuming? What will matter 5 years from now? What choice today makes tomorrow easier? Then choose accordingly. The final truth about the long game. The long game doesn't reward intensity. It rewards persistence. It doesn't reward talent alone. It rewards those who stay in the game longer than others, and that's why strategy beats effort. Chapter 7. Think 3 moves ahead. Most people react to life. Strategic thinkers anticipate it. They don't wait for problems to arrive. They see them forming from a distance, and that changes everything. Reaction versus anticipation. Reaction is emotional. Anticipation is intentional. Reaction says, now what do I do? Anticipation asks, what happens after this? Strategic thinkers are never trapped in the moment because they are already thinking beyond it. Why most people get outplayed. People focus on the next step. Strategic thinkers focus on the next 3. That gap is decisive. When you only see 1 move ahead, you're easy to predict. When you see 3, you control the direction. The core question of strategic thinking. Before every decision, ask, if I do this, what happens next? And after that? And then. Most mistakes aren't bad decisions. They're incomplete thinking. How problems really form problems rarely appear suddenly. They grow quietly. Small compromises, ignored signals, repeated shortcuts. Strategic thinkers notice patterns early. They don't wait for consequences to teach them lessons. Anticipation creates leverage when you think ahead. You prepare instead of panic. You adjust instead of collapse. You stay calm while others rush. Anticipation turns uncertainty into advantage. Strategy is not guessing. This isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about preparing for multiple outcomes. Strategic thinkers ask, what if this works? What if it doesn't? What if something unexpected happens? Then they build flexibility. The power of optionality. The smartest position is one with options. When you rush decisions, you lose them. When you think ahead, you preserve choices. Options equal freedom, and freedom equals power. Emotional control comes from thinking ahead. Emotion hijacks people who feel unprepared. Strategic thinkers stay composed because nothing catches them off guard. They've already imagined the scenario. Calm isn't accidental. It's rehearsed. Thinking ahead in daily life before speaking. How will this land? What reaction does this create? Before acting, what doors does this open? What doors does this close? Before committing, what does this cost me long term? This is how small decisions stop sabotaging big goals. Why strategic thinkers move slower and win faster. They pause to think. Others rush to act. One group looks slow. The other is slow. Because they keep fixing what they didn't think through. The strategic edge. Thinking 3 moves ahead doesn't make you smarter. It makes you harder to defeat. Because while others react to reality, you're shaping it. If this audiobook shifted the way you think, share the line that hit you hardest. And remember, when you think strategically, you don't chase outcomes. You position yourself so success has no choice but to find you. What topic should we break down next? This is the art of strategic thinking. And now, the game is yours.